with your kids.
Hola, ni hao, konnichiwa, assalamu alaikum, shalom, mahaba, morimuli wanji, namaste, jumbo, bienvenidos. Hi, my name is Jed Lee, and this is the Reading with Your Kids podcast. We are coming to you from the beautiful neighborhood of Reedville in the southwest corner of Boston, Massachusetts. We are so delighted and so very honored that you are joining us in our mission to help all families grow closer through reading. Please be sure to tell all of your family and friends about the show. Please be sure to subscribe to the show on the iHeartRadio app, on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, Stitcher Radio, wherever you find your podcast. Join us right now from the beautiful city of Chicago. Our guest is here today to celebrate her brand new picture book. It's called Girl on Wheels. Please welcome to the show, Srividhya Venkat. Hey, Srividhya, welcome. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you. I'm excited to be here, Jedley.
I'm excited to have you on. Tell us about Girl on Wheels, please.
So Girls on Wheels is inspired by the skateboarding revolution happening in India. It is a story about three girls who support one another as they practice skateboarding. One of them is returning to the skate park after recovering from a fall. So she is anxious and scared to skate again. But with the help of her friends and with their encouragement, she gathers courage and gets on the skate park and tries to skate and gets back to skating.
Well, I can certainly relate to the idea of being a little afraid of getting back on something that hurt you.
Oh yes.
And
oh, yes.
I recently had a mishap with a set of stairs, and
oh no.
I'm not looking forward to. Well, I'm looking forward to being able to get up and down stairs, but I am a little bit nervous about that. But I am confident my physical therapist will get me through it. But it's but I think that's a situation that a lot of us face, especially kids who are really passionate about a sport, and then they experience an injury, and it's that whole thing of, do I really want to do this again? I love it, but do I love it so much to risk going through that pain again?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah. And, India is this amazing place that all of us have heard of, and if it hasn't already, it will soon become the most populous nation in the world. But India is a place that I think not a lot of people really understand. And the idea of girls skateboarding here in the States, it might be a little bit unusual for, a girl to be so passionate about skateboarding. But it's a completely different story as I understand it. In India, it's really takes some courage for a girl to take up skateboarding in India. Am I right about that?
That's right. And that's what caught my eye. When I first learned about this skateboarding revolution happening not far from the place I visit whenever I visit my family, which is Chennai. So I first learned about a girl who skates in a little mini skate park, and that's what really caught my attention, and I had to find out more about when that had started happening, because India was, after all, my sort of neighborhood and the place I go to. As I began to research, I learned about more girls who were out there. There were girls who are skating and empowering other children to skate as well. And and this was an eye-opening thing for me also, because I was born and raised in India, and traditionally in Indian culture, women have been expected to follow certain gender roles and norms. And it's not that things haven't changed. Things have changed a lot, but still skateboarding being a male-dominated sport, a risky sport, this was something that really took me by surprise. And that's what led me to dig deeper and decide to write a story about it.
Yeah. So what is it about skateboarding that is, I guess, giving certain girls the courage to kind of break out of those restrictions that a lot of girls are facing in India?
I think there is a certain thrill to skateboarding, and that other sports don't give. It's you can feel the wind in your hair. You feel you feel like you're flying. You feel the sense of freedom, a sense of lightness. I guess that's what leads them to it.
Boy, I have such fond memories of the wind blowing through my hair. Those memories have gone and will never return. But it's interesting that I think a lot of us here in the States take for granted that a girl can play on Little League and they play on Pop Warner football teams and they're out there skateboarding. I don't think that we realize that it's such a big deal for girls to participate in certain sports and certain activities in different countries around the world.
Yes, it is. But in India, it is a big deal. And I think in the States too, I would say, how often do people follow a women's team that's playing soccer or a women's team that's playing cricket? Although they are doing it there, but, why doesn't that pique the kind of interest that men playing those sports does? So I think, it is becoming a big deal, and I think it is empowering these girls to keep doing what they love, no matter how hard it can be. And I think these women, despite the lack of public interest in these sports, they are just doing what they love. They are just going all the way, following their heart and following their dreams.
And I think that's something very, very important that we should all be talking to our kids about, whether they're girls or boys, is just encouraging our kids to get out there. And first off, I think it's really important to encourage our kids to dream.
Yes.
Because there's a lot of kids out there who don't. And that's going to come as a surprise to a lot of people listening. But it really is true. There's a lot of kids. You can. I've done very unscientific surveys of audiences at my educational magic shows and found a disturbing number of kids who say that they don't have dreams. And there are other more scientific studies that show that not every kid has a dream, has a passion. So first, I think we should get out. It should be encouraging all of our kids to dream.
Absolutely.
And then, secondly, just give them all the support we can to help them make their dreams come true.
Yes, I completely agree with that. We must encourage our kids to dream and give them that support, which is much needed to encourage them to do what they need to do in order to fulfill those dreams.
Yeah. Now, I was reading somewhere in my notes that just like the main character in your book who is pursuing her dreams of skateboarding, you have a passion for swimming.
Yeah. So, I'm not sure if I'm as passionate about swimming now. However, it was something that I did not get a chance to learn, and I really wanted to learn when I was in India. And so it was on my to-do list and for a longest time. And I did 20 years ago. I took that plunge and took a swimming class. And that's how it started. It took me about 10 years to get there. But you know how life takes over. So, but it was something that I had on my to-do list, and it something that I really wanted to do, and it continues to be on because I don't get into the pool as often, but it still remains. So I did learn to swim, is what I'm trying to say, about 10 years ago, finally. And I did want to add one more thing. I forget, I speak too soon, and it was something, and there was, in fact, just like Anila's accident, I had a close drowning incident. When I was practicing, so that kept me away from the pool for the longest time. Although it was also, haunting me that I was keeping away from it. That fear of it happening again, kept me away. And I think that's how I connect myself. I see a little bit of Anila in me, but you know what? I wasn't away from the pool for a while because I said I have to go back and overcome that fear. And I did. And after that, I did learn to swim. Although I could do a lot more practice now, like I said. But yeah, so that was something that, really helped me connect with Anila's character. Yeah.
Yeah. How important is it for you as an author to be able to connect with at least one character in the stories that you're sharing?
I think it is crucial. You don't need to have a personal experience or a similar experience like the main character, but you have to put yourself inside that main character's mind and say, what if you had gone through this? And I think the older the age group you write for, the more critical it becomes, because you're delving deeper into that character's emotional status. And so yeah, it is important either to get inside the head of your main character, put yourself in his or her shoes, and I think that's what makes writing more effective. And for a reader who has experienced something that the main character has, the reader would connect better if the writer has connected better while writing.
One of the things I read about you is that it took you some years and some different careers before you find yourself writing for children. What was that struggle? Did you always know that you wanted to write for children, or was it one experience bouncing from career to career that said, yeah, no, I want to stop this and I want to write for kids?
No, I think it did not happen in one go. No, it was, so I was, as a child, I was an avid reader. I used to write just like, most kids do, for write for school homework and stuff. And I used to write casually as well, but not that often. And then, you know how when you grow up, you just, life takes over you and things take over your life. And however, I continue to read a lot. And the writing happened quite unexpectedly when when I had my own children. I was reading to a lot of picture books to them. Picture books did not exist in India when I was growing up. So this was a new genre, and these were short books with, wonderful books with a lot of illustrations. And I just fell in love with them. And as my children grew, and they outgrew picture books, my love for picture books remained, and I held on to them. And I began to borrow and buy picture books for myself. So I think one thing led to another, and I realized that I was not seeing enough stories about my culture in these picture books. And I thought how wonderful this could be, and if there were books like this. And I realized that there were stories inside me waiting to be told. And so I just began penning them down and then sending them out to publishers as well to just, so I began doing my research, of course, about, who's publishing these kinds of books, and yeah. But it took a while to actually get published, yeah.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And so, yeah.
Did you want to add something?
No, I think I'm done, yeah.
It's, again, going back to what we were talking about earlier in your home country of India, it's such, one of the things I know about India is that it is such an immense nation. It's also a very diverse nation. It's, you just can't say India is about X, Y, or Z, because it's also about A, B, C, and all the other letters of the alphabet. There's such a diversity in that nation. Yes, and yeah, there is a lot of diversity, as you say, and several languages are spoken. I lose count of how many. I mean, several hundred languages are spoken, and then there are sub languages or dialects, within a particular region. So yes, and then of course the clothes we wear, the food we eat, and there's so many. I can hardly say it, and I know I haven't. I mean, I've probably tasted only a small variety of dishes. There's so many parts of India I haven't explored myself, and hope to get out there someday. Yeah. It's a nation that is very intriguing to me. I'm very curious about it, and I hope to visit there myself. I actually do have a number of friends in India, and one of our team members who's been part of the Reading with Your Kids podcast since we started is in Mumbai. So we have lots of connections with India. Hey, wonderful. And you should visit India. You should. I think you'll love it. Yeah. I agree. Hey, before we go, real quick, one of the books that you've written in the past just kind of caught my eye is Dancing in Tata's Footsteps. I'm hoping I'm saying that right. Can you tell us a little bit about that book? Sure. So Dancing in Tata's Footsteps, Tata is a grandfather in Tamil, in the Tamil language, Tamil is a southern Indian language. The book is about a little boy who wants to learn the Indian classical dance, which is called Bharatanatyam. And but he is discouraged from learning. His friends tell him that dance is not for boys. However, his grandfather tells him that he used to be a dancer once, and he encourages this little boy
to follow his heart, to go ahead and take dance lessons. And what happens next is the rest of the story.
Wonderful.
So it's about, it is based on, the Bharatanatyam is a 2,000-year-old Indian classical dance, 2,000-year-old. Let me emphasize that more. It was traditionally performed by, it has been traditionally performed by women, and there are men who learn the dance, but there is still a certain stigma against men performing this dance. And that's what drove me to write the story, because it is something, even if, what do you call it? The society views as being a dance performed by women. It's more glamorous, it's more graceful when it's performed by women versus men. However, there are several men who are breaking stereotypes there. So,
It sounds like encouraging kids to break stereotypes is something that's pretty important to you.
Yes, and I think the key thing is I would love kids to have dreams and to try to achieve those dreams, and no matter what they are told, right? I mean, no matter what's the norm, it's important to be true to yourself, and follow what you want to do. That's most important.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I know people are going to want to follow you. So where can they go to find out more about you, and also find out more about all of the great books that you've created?
Thank you. Thank you for asking me that. My website is srividhyavenkat.com, and I'm also available on social media at Srividhya Venkat, on Twitter as at Venkat Srividhya, and on Facebook as Srividhya Venkat, or Srividhya Venkat Children's Author. That's my Facebook page.
Wonderful.
So I'd be happy to for you to visit and learn more about me.
Yeah, awesome.
And thank you.
We've had a wonderful time speaking to the author of Girls on Wheels, beautiful new picture book from our guest, Srividhya Venkat. Srividhya, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you so much. I'm delighted to be here and to speak to you, and thanks again, Jeff.
We hope you've enjoyed this episode of the Reading with Your Kids podcast, and will join us for the next exciting episode. If you want to make sure you don't miss a second of the show, please be sure to subscribe to the show on the iHeartRadio app, on Spotify, Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, Stitch Radio, wherever you get your podcasts. And also be sure to visit readingwithyourkids.com and download your copy of the Reading with Your Kids online magazine. It's free. It's available at readingwithyourkids.com. Just click on our blog. Before we go, I want to make sure that I give a big thank you to my team: Fatima Khan, Rory Grady, Madison Dairies, Soji Franklin, Monica Rivera Sosa, Ann O'Leary. I want to give a big thank you to my beautiful wife for all the support she gives me, and most of all, we all want to thank you. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us today, and as always, thank you so very much for taking the time to make the world a better place by reading with your kids. I'll be looking for you in the next edition of the Reading with Your Kids podcast.